Conscious Living podcast. I'm Dr. Gayle Myers, and thank you for being part of my podcast season 1 launch. For me, it's been a growthful journey. It's been enlightening and a gift to speak to you about subjects that are dear to my heart and soul. In episodes 20 and 21, the last 2 of the season, are the pearls of wisdom that each of my guests shared throughout the season. I asked each of my guests to share their healing journey, the wisdom they gained, and how it transformed their life and business, and what 3 things they would like to share with the audience. As part of season 1 wrap up, my favorite takeaway from each of the first few guests, Lisa Dunlop, was her atomic mindful habit, placing your hand on your heart and asking yourself, what do I need right now to nurture myself? Mary Huang reminds us that we have a duty to master our spiritual life and the money game, that you liberate yourself when you master your mind and clear your DNA memory and bring a new light to grow and shift into abundance and prosperity. Nick Sinanon shared the importance to pause and take out the speed to be able to accelerate afterward. Dr. Betsy Greenleaf reminds us that meditation helps hormonal balance. That goes for all of us in this scroll-paced world. We can all use moments to slow down and let your inner wisdom guide, nurture, and restore you. I invite you now to have a listen and see which insights resonate for you.
People feel, and that's that inner critic, less than if they take a day off, guilty. And we feel like we're a better nurse, doctor, nurse practitioner if we do more, take on more. And so really the self-compassion practice has helped me with that. And it's 4 steps and it's really simple, guys. You put your hand on your heart and you identify what you're feeling. You don't need to say it out loud. And I encourage you to take deep breaths as you do this because you can sink in with your body and reconnect. Because, when we're in fight or flight, fear and anxiety, we're not in the present, we're in the future or the past. And so that deep touch and breathing brings you back to yourself. And when you name what you're feeling, the second piece is to be okay with that and not inner critic yourself about what you're feeling. It's, I'm feeling anger and that's okay. Other people feel this. One of the things that's reported a lot in burnout is feeling alone. And so that second piece is saying to yourself, I'm not alone. Others feel this. We are in this together. And then the third step, taking on kind words for yourself. And that can be a challenge for folks. So you can start with a friend, a mother, father figure in your mind. What would they say to me right now about burnout? Wow, Lisa, you're working so hard. You're juggling so many things. You are strong and it's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a pause. Whatever you might need to hear, that's that self-compassion piece. And then the 4th step, which I added, was the one you've heard already in the podcast, which is what is it I need to feel nurtured in this moment today? And it can look very different every day. I probably ask that question of myself a few times a day. It looks different throughout the day. And that moment of nurture can be a simple thing, a glass of water. In healthcare, it could be a bathroom break. It doesn't need to be this grand gesture. Maybe it's like my 5-year-old said to me, we were doing stuff in the house and chores. He said, I just need a breath of fresh air. And I thought, wow, that's pretty good. He stepped outside and he got himself some fresh air. Kids are great teachers at self-compassion because they really walk in the moment and they'll just tell you what they need. They'll spit out the bad food and they need something else. And it's really comical, really. Or, they just cry and tell you what they need. And so that practice is profound. And if you can't remember the steps, really all you need to remember is hand on heart and how can I nurture myself in this moment?
And just listen to the answer. Because we know that when our fountain is full to overflowing, others can drink from our fountain and we do not become depleted. So it's a way to keep filling up the fountain within.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. It's kind of three parts, isn't it? Knowing we're in a fight or flight stress moment, knowing a tool to use, and then using the tool, and then giving ourselves, I guess that's four things, but giving ourselves what we need. And, sometimes it's a bookmark. I have to say, like, what do I need when I get home from work today? And that might be a phone call to my husband. Hey, I've had a rough day. I just need 20 minutes to myself when I get home. Or, hey, we need to get takeout tonight. It's not always what you can do in the moment, but it really sets you up for filling your cup, even in the most chaotic of times, right? And I use atomic mindfulness habits. So I do combine mindfulness while I'm doing other things because of the crazy life that I live.
And the full life that you're living, and the healthy life that you're living, and the joyful life that you're living.
I believe that wealth without a divine purpose, embodiment, and anchoring. So first, we have to get super clear on walking the path and what that means. Educating ourselves in the spiritual walk. That is so important. That is like first and foremost, because we are more spiritual than we are physical. But we're taught to depend mostly on our physical senses. And that is part of the veil of amnesia and delusional thinking and distorted thinking, and keeping us off path from the true purpose of why we're even in existence. And we're here for such a short time. My biggest wish is that that piece really resonates with you, and that you understand the urgency and the importance and the criticalness, especially in today's environment, spiritually and economically, that we have a duty to get as wealthy as possible. But the first step is to master the meaning of life, which is that spiritual path. So wealth without a divine purpose is not only meaningless, it's lethal, because I was a product of that, I know. And number two is that we have to master financial strategies. Ultimately, as we know, because we just spent this whole time talking about it, if we don't like what we see happening in the world and everything crumbling around us, the education system, the way food is created in America, the medical system, pharmaceuticals, banking, investment, you name it, every sector is crumbling because we're in the paradigm shift for the new light to grow and sprout. And that's why you're listening to this right now, because you are part of that paradigm shift. And without money, how far can we get in our mission to change the world? Not very far. And then we're just going to be caught in the loop of victimization and thinking that, well, that's for other people, not me. And that's not true. So we have to learn the rules of the money game, which is what I do. And number three, master your mind and your DNA memory. Our subconscious mind is a computer. You could take out the software and put in new ones from the trauma that you inherited and experienced in this lifetime. And number two of that third point, the DNA memory of the epigenetic traumas that we inherited, you can clear that too. So those are my points that I want to leave the audience with, to go off and explore and liberate yourself.
For everyone listening in or watching, it took a while, especially for, let's say, males, to really connect with your true self, to allow yourself to be vulnerable, because then, and this is for me what I've seen, this is the true magic. And I teach it to my son, for example, because I wasn't trained to show my, let's say, weaknesses. And so definitely in this case, for every male listening in, this is such a blessing. So be courageous enough to listen in, closing your eye, focus on your breath, and share with Gayle what it feels like, what comes up. So this would be, and of course for all ladies out there, please do so as well. And so that would be the number one. And Number two is talking about our fast-paced society. Take another breath. Sometimes we need to take a step back to see the bigger picture, because in my case, and I listen to many people out there, or many authors who write books, and when they share their why, it was because of a certain incident or an accident. Certain times in your life, you can put it in your calendar. If you take a step back on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis, then you have the bigger picture, talking about growth, for example. So if you want to grow, and we're all here to grow, like all plants out there. And so that's the next magic, taking a step back. Sometimes we need to take out the speed to be able to accelerate afterwards. It would be number.
The pause.
Yeah. So that's number two. So number three, share the love. That is the biggest power. I remember the event where both of us met. We had a speaker, amazing female speaker. She talked about the basic human needs, which Tony Robbins talks about. And the most powerful one, and this is what I'm doing for 26 years, is giving back, is contribute. And the funny thing is, I shared it in another interview. People were talking about during the pandemic, we don't have the money to really give. We do when we're back to normal, let's say. And I've seen the beauty during the 2020, 2021, Americans gave the highest amount to charity they ever did, even during the pandemic, because it's a two-way street. So you can even break it down for me as a scientist, what happens with your hormones when you're giving back. So the dopamine kicks in when you do good and not asking about. So I would love to consider this, which way you could contribute. And if it's not money, then it's your time.
Interesting thing is, I'm talking here from a medical standpoint. I was talking before about that three-legged stool, but I end up tending to get super focused on the body aspect, because that, as a doctor, those are the things I can make a difference in. But I'm sure, and I haven't looked this up, but I'm sure that there are studies looking into meditation and affecting acid-base balance in the body. I would not be surprised to find that. We do know that things like meditation can improve healing and therefore, decrease those stress hormones. It's going to shift your regular hormones into production of those sex hormones. So we do know that specifically. I actually haven't looked into whether it affects acid-base balance, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
No, I haven't either, but we do know that meditation rebalances the sympathetic, fight or flight, and the parasympathetic, rest and nest and digest. And it lowers cortisol levels. And so that in and of itself, exercise, sleep, hydration, and meditation, and what you eat can all affect the gut microbiome. I hope you found special treasures of wisdom these incredible guests shared to be a guiding light that you can apply to help you grow, make your days brighter, more positive, and to fuel your dreams and aspirations. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway. Send it to wellness@GayleMyersMD.com. I will share these with the audience in future episodes. Thank you for being part of the Health Conscious Living community. See you next week for the final episode